Hey guys, and welcome to another week of Kids Church. We're back in Luke. That means we get to hear more stories about the real Jesus. Through Luke, we've learned that Jesus is the Christ. That means that he's God's king who will rescue his people and fix his world. He's not going to do this by fighting people, but we know that Jesus is going to do this by being killed himself to take away our sin. He's a great king, he's fully loving, and he's fully powerful. Who wouldn't want to follow a king like that? Well, last week, we learned that following King Jesus starts with believing and confessing that Jesus is God's chosen king. So, let's get this straight. Jesus, he's an awesome king. He's powerful, he's super cool, he's the king of the whole world. And to be on his team, to be his follower, all I have to do is believe that he's the king, the Christ. That sounds super easy, right? That means I can keep living life my own way. I can enjoy all my hobbies. I can have my own dreams, my own ambitions. I can pretty much live my life for myself, right? All I have to do is believe the fact that Jesus is the king. Well, this week, we're going to find out that there's so much more to being Jesus's follower. It's not easy peasy. And the reason this is because the king that we're following isn't your regular king. Jesus isn't this king who's living the comfy life, and he's not this king that's living his life for himself. Because of that, being his follower is also not going to be comfy. It also means that we're not going to be living our lives for ourselves. And this is the big idea for our week. Jesus is the Christ who came to suffer and save. Being his disciple is about being humble and putting Jesus above everything. But before we go on to our story, there are two really important words that we need to know for our story this week. Up until now, I've been using this phrase, follower of Christ. But in our passage today, you'll see over and over again this big word, disciple. What's that? Well, it's really, really, really important to understand. We're going to see this word pop up not only this week, but the next week and the next week after that. This is the word that Jesus uses too. A disciple is someone who lives for Jesus and lives like Jesus. Let me say that again. A disciple is someone who lives for Jesus and lives like Jesus. You might say that someone who's a disciple of Jesus is kind of like a little Jesus. Note that this is a word that's not only used for Jesus, but can also be used for other leaders or really important people. So if you were a disciple of Michael Jordan, that's one of the best basketball players that has ever lived, you'd not only look up to Michael Jordan and say, wow, Michael Jordan is so special, but you'd also maybe want to look a bit like him. So you'd buy all his merchandise, you'd get the shoes, the jersey, and maybe even shave your head to look like Michael Jordan. But more than just looking like him, you might even want to start practicing basketball to be as good as Michael Jordan. You'd want to be like him. Does that sound like a lot of work? Well, it is a lot of work, because you kind of have to live for them and you have to live like them. It's the same with Jesus. Disciples of Jesus not only believe that Jesus is awesome, but they try to be just like him. And it's a lot of work, as we'll find out. Now, the second word for this week is being humble. In our big idea of this week, it says that being Jesus' disciple is all about being humble. What does that even mean? Well, being humble means treating someone as more important than you. This picture is absolutely amazing. It's a picture that shows us what it looks like to be humble, and it's a picture of Jesus. Jesus, the Son of God, the ruler of the whole world, washing the feet, like the grimy, stinky feet of his disciples. I put it to you this way. It's the most important person in the whole world, in the whole of human history, treating others as more important than himself. That's what it looks like, and that's what it means to be humble. To make other people and to treat them like they're more important than yourself. And in our story today, we're going to find out that being humble is one of the most important things in being one of Jesus' disciples, because it's what Jesus does for us. And that's it. Those are the two words for this week, and you're all prepped and have everything you need to understand the story for today. Let's go. Luke chapter 9, verses 43 to 62. I'm reading from the NIRV, from verse 43. Now everyone was wondering about all that Jesus did. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. The Son of Man is going to be handed over to men." But they didn't understand what this meant. That was because it was hidden from them, and they were afraid to ask Jesus about it. Then the disciples began to argue about which one of them would be the most important person. Jesus knew what they were thinking. So he took a little child and had the child stand beside him. Then he spoke to them. "Anyone who welcomes this child in my name welcomes me," he said. "And anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. The one considered least important among all of you is really the most important." Once Jesus and those who were with him were walking along the road, a man said to Jesus, "I will follow you no matter where you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." He said to another man, "Follow me." And the man replied, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." Jesus said to him, "Let dead people bury their own dead. You go and tell others about God's kingdom." Still, another person said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family." Jesus replied, "Suppose someone starts to plow and then looks back. That person is not fit for service in God's kingdom."